Consumatum est!
In Jose Rizal's The Indolence of the Filipinos, or The Landolencia de los Filipinos, he confronts one of the most damaging stereotypes imposed by the Spanish colonizers, the idea that Filipinos are inherently lazy and lack a drive to progress. Rather than accepting this colonial narrative as truth, Rizal presented the argument that the perceived indolence of Filipino was not an embedded nature of the nation, but was instead the result of the oppressive conditions created due to the centuries of colonial rule. His insight here is very accurate in terms of modern-day Filipino society, as much of what he identifies as structural issues persists even today. In its ultimate expression, the indolence of the Filipinos is not merely an exoneration of the Filipino, but a more general condemnation of the system that shaped them into the way they were. Rizal's view of the interaction between colonial exploitation, social conditions, and individual behavior generates a more critical interpretation of the extent which external influences have shaped progress in society.
Filipinos under the Spanish were overtaxed and worked through forced labor and non-economic opportunities to advance, among other things. Oppressive conditions of this nature breed hopelessness and idleness. The colonizers label it laziness. This historical context speaks to the present context in the Philippines. Poverty and economic inequality deeply ingrained. Most regions of the country still suffer underdevelopment, lack of infrastructure, and limited access to economic opportunities. The concentration of wealth and resources in the hands of the few only recalls the colonial exploitation wherein most Filipinos were left with little to improve their livelihoods.
In his essay, he advocated that one of the main reasons why Filipinos could not progress was due to the lack of proper education. The colonial government deliberately withholds education from the masses, keeps them uninformed, and therefore, in this state, finds it easier to rule and control the masses. Rizal believed that education is the key towards breaking the cycle of poverty and oppression. To date, this remains a crucial issue in the Philippines. Even as access to education has improved greatly, the quality of education differs significantly by region. In much of rural and impoverished areas, there are schools with fewer materials and lower paid teachers are common here as well. As in Rizal's time, lack of access to quality education perpetuates poverty and severely limits social mobility. Another very important theme to be expressed by Rizal from this essay is how colonization and self-perception instilled inferiority among Filipinos and created their identity.
Rizal claimed that 3 centuries of colonization had created a sense of inferiority among Filipinos, making them believe in their supposition of laziness and the incapability. This internalized the colonial mentality still lingers in certain aspects of Filipino society. Modern-day problems such as unrelenting brain drain, wherein the best mind and skills of Filipino look for greener pastures abroad. It demonstrates this deep-set notion that success would finally be within the boundaries outside of this land. Fighting back to overcome the inferiority or dependence complex on foreign powers and culture further confronts the sight of the Filipino people, which it is nurtured in colonial mindset.
Rizal's writings, of course, were not only revealing issues but motivating actions also. While knowing that Tyler holds a bright vision towards reform, el filibusterismo darkens and in a hurry to present a urgent need. The society is laced with corruption, oppression, and violence, even less hope for peaceful change. The tone is from hopeful to pessimistic, from romantic to cynical. Rather than promoting educational and dialogue, the message Rizal conveys in El Filibusterismo is now a bleak threat of the catastrophe of doing nothing and of setting revolution. He asserts that the peaceful means of altering the state of affairs, having failed revolution, becomes by necessity the choice to bring about freedom. This change reflects the increasing frustration and anger of Filipinos who for decades had to bear oppression.
Rizal did not call for revolution as a mindless violence. According to him, revolution should be a last resort, but one that should be resorted to when all avenues leading to change were exhausted. He saw the revolution as a means to reclaim Filipino sovereignty and the building of a nation free from foreign domination. He knew that a revolution would bring loss, but he believed freedom was worth it. He envisioned a Philippines that is free to govern itself, decide its own destiny, and construct society based on their very own values and aspirations.
Beyond political liberation lies Rizal's vision for free and independent Philippines. He will make sure that the Filipinos here could lead meaningful lives because within these infancies of education and economic opportunities lies a strong national identity. According to him, Filipinos are actually capable of creating a prosperous and just society that is full of respect and pride for its own culture and traditions. A rich land in arts and sciences, innovation in thoughts was the envisioned Philippines, but here was the place where all Filipinos could stand the rightful place on earth.
Until now, Rizal continues to inspire the Filipinos, for his writings remind them of fighting for justice, equality, and self-determination. His call for a united and empowered Filipino people resonates deeply with those who strive for building a better future in the Philippines. His word is something that gives hope, reminding all of us, no matter what the adversity entails, to work for a better tomorrow. In his words, he inspires you to be courageous, to be resilient, to not give up on the dream for a just and prosperous Philippines.
It was not in the role only that Rizal and liberation were to be seen. A free and independent nation was Rizal's idea of developing outlet for Filipinos, integrating education with real economic opportunities and a strong, vital national personality. It would be in the land in which, regardless of the background, could contribute to progress for the Philippines. So he dreamt of a future where Filipinos could be proud of their identity, openly live for their culture, and have the capacity to create the future they want for themselves. His legacy stretches far beyond historical input and into potential realization. In his works, he gave us an outline that guides us towards an ideal Philippines that represents his dream for this country. He calls for a continued struggle for justice, equality, and self-determination. Feelings that are inspired by the motivation to condemn injustice, fight for the rights of the oppressed, and strive for the equal, better life stand in accordance with that Rizal aims for. So, he encourages us to be proud of our self-well-being, being Filipinos, respect our colorful culture, and stand out for our excellence in every field of human endeavors. So, in conclusion, as we reflect on Rizal's visions, we must ask ourselves, how can we continue his work? So, how do we build the Philippines he envisions us? We can honor his legacy, fighting for the social justice, investing in education, of course, and nurturing national pride, embracing innovations and progress. His dream is not only bygone era but for now and call for an actions. This is a call to forge a Philippines that shall be truly free, just prosperous a nation that epitomes its greatest heroes' ideas.
Nakamali ka ng napuntahan, pero ikaw